The insult that would ignite the most devastating precision war in racing history echoed through the Ferrari factory in Maranello on March 8, 1963. Enzo Ferrari, the imperious founder of the most prestigious racing marque in the world, looked at reports of Porsche's increasing racing success with the kind of Italian aristocratic contempt reserved for upstart manufacturers who dared challenge Ferrari's supremacy in international motorsports. Porsche builds excellent Volkswagen Beetles for German families, Ferrari declared with dismissive arrogance to assembled racing journalists. But racing is about passion, heritage, and the kind of automotive soul that comes from generations of Italian racing excellence. These German mechanics can modify their economy cars all they want, but they will never understand what separates true racing automobiles from glorified Beetles with racing stripes. The laughter that filled the Ferrari factory was shared throughout the European racing establishment, which viewed Porsche's motorsports ambitions as the misguided efforts of a small German manufacturer that fundamentally misunderstood the difference between automotive engineering and racing artistry. But 800 kilometers away in Stuttgart, Ferdinand Ferry Porsche was not amused by Ferrari's condescending dismissal of German automotive capabilities. As he listened to reports of Enzo's contemptuous comments about Beetle mechanics, Ferry was already formulating the systematic engineering campaign that would destroy Ferrari's racing dominance so completely that the Italian manufacturer would be forced to abandon prototype racing entirely. Herr Ferrari calls us Beetle mechanics, Ferry told his chief engineer Helmuth Bott with the quiet German determination that made smart competitors nervous. We will build racing cars so superior to Italian products that within 10 years, Porsche will own every racing series while Ferrari retreats to making expensive toys for wealthy collectors who remember when Italian cars could actually win races. What began as Italian racing arrogance toward German engineering competence would become the most systematic technical domination in motorsports history, establishing Porsche as the most successful racing manufacturer in the world while reducing Ferrari to a nostalgic reminder of an era when passion mattered more than precision. If you love discovering how systematic German engineering can triumph over racing tradition, please like this video and subscribe to The Car Chronicles. The Ferrari Racing Dynasty, 1947–1962. Ferrari's dominance of international motorsports during the 1950s and early 1960s was built on Enzo Ferrari's passionate commitment to racing excellence, Italian engineering artistry, and the indefinable concept of racing soul that distinguished authentic racing automobiles from mere transportation vehicles modified for competition. Enzo Ferrari's philosophy emphasized driver skill, mechanical intuition, and the emotional connection between man and machine that created racing victories through superior passion rather than systematic technical development. Ferrari drivers were expected to overcome mechanical limitations through individual brilliance and racing instinct. Ferrari racing was about the marriage of human courage and mechanical beauty, recalled racing historian Dennis Jenkinson. Enzo understood that true racing success came from the soul, not from spreadsheets or systematic engineering processes. A Ferrari driver had to feel the car's spirit and respond with courage and intelligence that no amount of German precision could replicate. Ferrari's racing success was demonstrated through victories at Le Mans, Formula One championships, and sports car racing series that established Italian automotive supremacy over global competition. The prancing horse badge became synonymous with racing excellence and automotive passion that competitors couldn't match. The manufacturing philosophy reflected Italian automotive values. Each Ferrari was essentially hand-built by craftsmen who understood that mechanical perfection came from artisanal skill rather than assembly line precision. Quality was achieved through individual attention rather than systematic processes. Ferrari's customer cars were expensive, exclusive, and temperamental, characteristics that enhanced rather than diminished their appeal to wealthy enthusiasts who understood that true racing automobiles required skill, patience, and mechanical sympathy that ordinary drivers couldn't provide. The racing team operated more like an Italian family than a German engineering department, with personal relationships, emotional dynamics, and individual personalities playing crucial roles in competitive success. Drivers were selected for character and racing spirit rather than systematic analytical capabilities. Most importantly, Ferrari's racing philosophy was built on the assumption that passion and tradition would always triumph over systematic engineering approaches that treated racing as a technical problem rather than an artistic expression of automotive excellence. This confidence was justified by racing results that consistently favored Italian engineering over German, British, or American competitors who couldn't match Ferrari's combination of technical innovation and racing passion that had established Maranello as the center of international motorsports. However, this dominance was built on assumptions about competitive dynamics, technological development, and customer preferences that would prove catastrophically wrong when challenged by manufacturers who understood that systematic precision could overcome traditional racing advantages. The German Engineering Challenge, 1948-1962. Porsche's entry into international racing was driven not by passion or tradition, but by Ferdinand Porsche's systematic approach to automotive engineering that treated racing competition as the ultimate test of technical innovation and manufacturing precision. Unlike Ferrari's emphasis on racing artistry and emotional connection, Porsche viewed motorsports as an engineering laboratory where systematic development could create competitive advantages through superior design, manufacturing precision, and continuous technical improvement. Ferdinand Porsche's automotive philosophy reflected German engineering values that prioritized measurable performance over subjective appeal. Every component was designed for optimal function rather than emotional impact, and every system was optimized for reliability, efficiency, and competitive advantage. Porsche racing was about engineering excellence disguised as motorsports entertainment, observed automotive journalist Paul Frere. Ferry Porsche understood that systematic technical development could overcome traditional racing advantages if properly applied to competition challenges that other manufacturers approached emotionally rather than analytically. The 356 sports car demonstrated Porsche's approach to automotive development: lightweight construction, aerodynamic efficiency, and mechanical reliability that delivered superior performance through engineering precision rather than raw power or dramatic styling. Early Porsche racing efforts were modest by Ferrari standards, but they consistently achieved results that exceeded expectations through systematic preparation, careful development, and technical innovations that maximized the potential of relatively simple mechanical components. The engineering team at Stuttgart approached racing as a systematic problem-solving exercise where every challenge could be overcome through methodical analysis, careful development, and precise execution that eliminated variables that caused other manufacturers to experience unpredictable results. Driver development was equally systematic, with Porsche recruiting and training drivers who could provide technical feedback rather than just deliver fast lap times through individual brilliance. German racing philosophy emphasized collaboration between driver and engineer rather than heroic individual performance. Most importantly, Porsche's racing program was designed for sustained competitive success rather than occasional dramatic victories. The systematic approach was structured to create continuous improvement that would eventually overcome traditional advantages based on heritage, passion, or individual genius. By 1962, perceptive racing analysts recognized that Porsche's systematic engineering approach was developing competitive advantages that traditional racing philosophies couldn't overcome through conventional approaches to motorsports competition. The 917 Development Revolution, 1963-1968, Porsche's response to Ferrari's dismissive comments about Beetle mechanics was the most ambitious racing car development program in motorsports history. The 917 prototype project that would demonstrate German engineering superiority through systematic technical innovation that Italian manufacturers couldn't match. The 917 program represented everything Ferrari claimed was impossible: Systematic engineering processes creating racing cars superior to vehicles developed through traditional racing intuition and artisanal manufacturing approaches. Ferdinand Piëch, Ferry Porsche's nephew and the project's technical director, approached the 917 development with German methodical precision that analyzed every aspect of racing performance and engineered solutions that traditional racing approaches couldn't achieve. The 917 was designed to be the ultimate expression of systematic German engineering, explained Porsche engineer Norbert Singer. We analyzed everything Ferrari did well and engineered solutions that were measurably superior in every technical category. It wasn't about passion or racing soul. It was about creating the fastest, most reliable racing car in history through systematic development. Aerodynamic development was revolutionary by 1960s racing standards. Porsche invested in wind tunnel testing, computer analysis, and systematic aerodynamic optimization that traditional manufacturers couldn't match through intuitive styling or empirical development approaches. Engine development followed the same systematic philosophy. The flat 12 power plant was designed for optimal power delivery, reliability, and fuel efficiency through engineering processes that eliminated the inconsistency and unpredictability that characterized traditional racing engines. Chassis development was equally methodical, with every component optimized for weight, strength, and handling characteristics through engineering analysis rather than traditional racing wisdom or driver preference. The manufacturing approach was revolutionary. Rather than hand-building each car through artisanal processes, Porsche developed systematic production methods that ensured consistency and reliability while maintaining the precision that racing competition demanded. Driver development was integrated into the technical program, with systematic testing procedures that optimized car setup while training drivers to extract maximum performance through technical understanding rather than intuitive racing skill alone. Most importantly, the 917 program was structured for sustained competitive dominance rather than individual racing victories. German engineering philosophy emphasized systematic advantages that would make Porsche success inevitable rather than dependent on favorable circumstances or competitor mistakes. The 1969 Racing Revolution, the 917's competition debut in 1969, shocked the racing world and proved that systematic German engineering could revolutionize motorsports competition when properly applied to challenges that traditional racing manufacturers approached through conventional wisdom and established practices. The 917's technical specifications were unprecedented by racing standards: aerodynamic efficiency that reduced drag while generating downforce, engine reliability that eliminated mechanical failures, and handling characteristics that allowed consistent fast lap times regardless of driver skill level or track conditions. Porsche's racing strategy was equally systematic. Rather than depending on individual driver heroics or tactical brilliance, the 917 program was designed to win through superior technical performance that made traditional racing advantages irrelevant. The 917 changed racing forever, observed motorsports journalist Dennis Jenkinson. Porsche hadn't just built a faster car, they had redefined what racing cars could achieve through systematic engineering. Traditional racing skills became secondary to technical superiority that Italian manufacturers couldn't match through conventional development approaches. Ferrari's reaction to the 911's dominance was predictable. Rather than acknowledging German technical superiority, Ferrari executives attributed Porsche success to unlimited budgets, unfair regulations, and other factors that avoided admitting systematic engineering advantages over traditional racing approaches. However, racing professionals recognized that the 917 represented more than advanced technology or financial resources. Porsche had demonstrated engineering capabilities that established manufacturers couldn't match through traditional approaches to racing car development and competition strategy. Le Mans 1970 became the defining moment. Porsche 917s finished first and second, while Ferrari suffered mechanical failures and strategic mistakes that demonstrated the superiority of systematic preparation over traditional racing improvisation. The psychological impact on European racing establishments was devastating. Ferrari, the symbol of racing excellence for over 2 decades, had been systematically outperformed by German engineers who treated motorsports as a technical problem rather than an artistic expression. Customer and media response to Porsche's dominance was enthusiastic among engineering-minded enthusiasts who appreciated the triumph of systematic development over racing mystique, while traditional racing fans struggled to accept that German precision had overcome Italian passion. Most importantly, the 1969 racing season established principles that continue influencing motorsports: systematic technical development, engineering-focused preparation, and performance optimization through measurable improvement rather than traditional racing wisdom. The Can-Am domination, AO 1970-1973. Porsche's systematic conquest of American racing through the Can-Am series represented the complete globalization of German engineering superiority over traditional racing approaches that emphasized driver skill, mechanical artistry, and racing heritage over systematic technical development. The 910 and 930 turbocharged variants demonstrated Porsche's commitment to engineering solutions that solved competitive challenges through technical innovation rather than conventional racing approaches that other manufacturers relied upon for competitive success. American racing had traditionally favored powerful engines and driver heroics over technical sophistication, but Porsche's systematic approach to aerodynamics, chassis development, and engine optimization created advantages that traditional American racing methods couldn't overcome through conventional approaches. Porsche's Can-Am domination was a systematic technical conquest, confirmed racing historian Gordon Kirby. They analyzed American racing challenges and engineered solutions that made traditional approaches obsolete. It wasn't about driver courage or mechanical intuition. It was about engineering superiority that American manufacturers couldn't match through conventional racing development. The turbocharged 917-230 generated over 1,000 horsepower through systematic engineering optimization while maintaining the reliability and handling characteristics that allowed drivers to extract maximum performance consistently rather than depending on heroic individual efforts. Racing victories in 1972 and 1973 were so dominant that Can-Am series organizers changed regulations to limit Porsche advantages. But German engineering superiority had been demonstrated conclusively through systematic competitive success that traditional racing manufacturers couldn't overcome. The cultural impact extended beyond racing results to influence American perceptions of German automotive capabilities and systematic engineering approaches that prioritized measurable performance over traditional competitive advantages based on heritage or racing tradition. Ferrari's complete absence from Can-Am competition represented tacit acknowledgement that Italian racing philosophy couldn't compete with German technical development in series that favored engineering excellence over racing artistry and traditional competitive approaches. The financial investment required for Porsche's systematic dominance was enormous, but the commercial and technical returns justified every Deutsche Mark spent on establishing German automotive leadership through motorsports competition and technological demonstration. Contemporary racing manufacturers began studying Porsche's systematic development methods as examples of how technical excellence could achieve sustained competitive advantages that traditional approaches couldn't overcome through conventional racing wisdom or increased financial investment. The technology transfer from racing to production cars was immediate and substantial, with 917-derived innovations improving Porsche road car performance, reliability, and customer satisfaction in ways that benefited consumers while demonstrating the commercial value of systematic motorsports development. The Le Mans Conquest, 1970-1971. Porsche's systematic domination of Le Mans, the most prestigious endurance race in the world, and Ferrari's traditional showcase of Italian racing superiority, represented the ultimate triumph of German engineering precision over traditional racing approaches based on passion, heritage, and artisanal manufacturing excellence. The 1970 Le Mans victory was achieved through systematic preparation that eliminated variables that caused other manufacturers to experience mechanical failures, strategic mistakes, and competitive disadvantages that prevented sustained high-performance racing over 24-hour periods. Porsche's approach to endurance racing was revolutionary. Rather than depending on driver heroics to overcome mechanical limitations, the 9/17 program was designed to deliver consistent, fast lap times through technical reliability that made sustained performance inevitable rather than dependent on favorable circumstances. Porsche's Le Mans approach was engineering perfection applied to racing competition, observed endurance racing specialist John Horseman. They had eliminated every source of unpredictability through systematic development that made victory a technical certainty rather than a racing uncertainty that other manufacturers accepted as inevitable. Fuel efficiency was optimized through systematic analysis that reduced pit stop requirements while maintaining competitive lap times, a technical advantage that traditional racing manufacturers couldn't achieve through conventional approaches to engine development and racing strategy. Driver rotation was systematically planned to optimize performance over 24-hour periods, with each driver trained to extract maximum performance from precisely set-up cars rather than adapting driving styles to compensate for mechanical limitations or setup compromises. The 1971 Le Mans victory was even more dominant, with Porsche finishing first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, a systematic demonstration of technical superiority that left traditional racing manufacturers with no viable competitive responses to German engineering excellence. Ferrari's withdrawal from prototype racing after 1973 represented the ultimate admission that Italian racing tradition could not compete with systematic German engineering development that had redefined competitive standards for endurance racing performance and reliability. The psychological impact was devastating to European racing establishments that had viewed Ferrari as the pinnacle of automotive excellence for decades, only to discover that German precision could systematically overcome traditional advantages through superior technical development. Customer response was immediate. Porsche sales increased dramatically as racing success demonstrated the superiority of German engineering over traditional automotive approaches that emphasized styling, heritage, or emotional appeal over measurable performance advantages. The modern legacy and recognition. Porsche's systematic destruction of Ferrari's racing dominance represents one of the most complete competitive reversals in automotive history, demonstrating how methodical German engineering can overcome traditional advantages based on heritage, passion, and conventional competitive assumptions. From a technological perspective, Porsche's racing innovations influenced automotive development throughout the industry, with systematic engineering processes, aerodynamic development, and reliability optimization becoming standard considerations for manufacturers worldwide seeking competitive advantages. The business impact extended far beyond racing success to establish Porsche as a premium automotive brand capable of competing with traditional luxury manufacturers through technical excellence rather than heritage or exclusivity marketing that traditional approaches emphasized. Contemporary racing analysis consistently references Porsche's 1970s dominance as the benchmark for systematic engineering excellence and methodical development approaches that treat motorsports competition as technical challenges rather than artistic expressions of automotive passion. Modern racing manufacturers continue studying Porsche's development methods as examples of how systematic approaches can achieve sustained competitive advantages that traditional methods cannot overcome through conventional improvements or increased financial investment alone. The cultural significance extends beyond automotive markets to influence German engineering reputation and systematic development approaches that prioritize measurable results over traditional competitive advantages based on heritage, emotion, or conventional wisdom. Engineering innovations developed for Porsche's racing program continue influencing automotive technology development, with competition-derived advances in aerodynamics, engine efficiency, and chassis optimization becoming standard features throughout the premium automotive market. The rivalry demonstrates how systematic engineering approaches can overcome any traditional competitive advantage when properly resourced and methodically applied to specific competitive challenges over sustained development periods. The story reminds us that the greatest automotive achievements often emerge from systematic technical development rather than passion or tradition, and that German engineering precision can triumph over any competitive challenge when supported by adequate resources and methodical development approaches. If this story moved you, subscribe to the Car Chronicles and hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to understand that systematic engineering excellence can overcome traditional competitive advantages, and that German precision can revolutionize entire industries through methodical development approaches. What's your favorite example of engineering triumph over tradition? Let us know in the comments about other competitive reversals where systematic development overcame established advantages through superior technical innovation and methodical competitive approaches.